All right, what's happening, everyone? We're here in the showroom, and I tried to get this really nice shot, but you can see some of the wall here. This is a beautiful pallet wall that we built. This is kind of like the amp corner. We've got a bunch of amps down here, guitars, as you can see, hanging behind us. If you ever come visit us at the shop, this is where you'll probably hang out and play lots of guitar, which we have lots of people doing that from time to time. But we're talking today, we're just turning on the camera. We've got a very interesting topic. Something that we kind of, we were pouring coffee this morning and like, oh, we should maybe turn the camera on and talk about that. And that's the subject of what makes you buy gear. So this is something that I'd love to hear some comments down below. What kind of pushes you over the edge? Are you kind of a hype-driven gear purchaser? Are you a review, driven purchaser? We'll talk each of us about a couple things. We're not gonna make this super long, but a couple things that maybe we've bought that maybe we're outside the box and kind of we're trying to get into our minds, which is it's a really dangerous thing. All right, so Marco, you can go first. Talk about some gear that you've purchased and what were the factors in making you like go over the edge or fall off the deep end or whatever dumb analogy that we can use.
Yeah, it can get pretty out of control, I'm going to say. But I think I've been playing guitar for a long time now, like over more than I've not been playing, and getting to that point, I think
that just means you're old.
Yeah, I'm just getting old, guys. And you get a lot of gear. Your buddy's getting rid of an amp, and he doesn't need it anymore. You just end up getting a lot of gear. I feel like it's not always like nicer stuff, so you end up piecing together these weird like collections. And so I try to kind of not get too many of the same thing, or if I'm gonna buy something, because I'm definitely my father's son and kind of a little bit cheap at times. I'm like, I really got to be impressed by something to kind of want it. And I think now more and more people are really bringing the heat and releasing really cool stuff, really usable stuff. The one that you brought up for me was like the Iridium. I bought the Iridium. I have an Iridium. And I actually played it at the 2020 NAMM show, the NAMM show that we went to. And when I was out walking around kind of, on a break from the boot session, and I was able to play it and hear it. And I think that is such a prime like motivator for me purchasing something, is if I can hear it and try it and, kind of get the idea in my head, like, oh, this is how I'm going to use it.
Yeah.
So I try to be kind of methodical about it, but there's definitely like, somebody will release something and you kind of get used to their way or their like marketing kind of stuff. Lately, I've kind of been taken over by the Chase Bliss habit, and their stuff, their offerings are really cool, and they're really like, they're top quality stuff, and those pedals can grow with you. And I think that about that specifically, that's what I really like about those pedals, is that it's like the more that you dive into it, the more that you're kind of getting out of it. And I think that's kind of where I've been kind of hanging out lately.
That makes sense. I mean, you're looking for, like, all of us are trying to fill a need, and there's times like we all do this, right? Well, this will make me appear cooler than I really am. There's that kind of purchasing, which we're all guilty of in some ways. But then there's like, lately it's kind of in the practical side for me, where it's like, is this going to do what I need it to do? Whether it's like for something in the shop, which I think I'm all messed up because I'm buying stuff personally, but then I'm buying stuff for the shop, and each of those has its own set of like reasons for a purchase. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we're like, oh, we're gonna buy a new cable for the shop. Well, it needs to be like this, so it doesn't look weird on demos or something like that. Whereas if I'm doing it for myself or home use or anything like that, I just buy it. I don't really care about that part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think, looking for me, what pushes me over the edge is get a practical solution. Really lately I've been thinking about creating some kind of looping type board where I can sit and create some ideas and have something where I can even experiment with some like, fake drums. Like some of those loopers have drum machines, and something to just kind of get the feel of a band, just to create. Because I think the process of creating and kind of writing little riffs is something that I kind of like, I throw on the shelf very often. So that's kind of where my mind's at when looking for new gear. And I know that everyone has way different purchasing styles. Like sometimes it's the the influencer or the artist, where it's like, oh, this artist, I'm seeing a lot of this stuff coming out now where it's like this person's signature pedal, guitar, amp, whatever it might be. And I think that works for a lot of people. I'm not really a signature purchaser. Like if I like it and it's some artist's signature, I'll probably consider it, but I don't really purchase that way. And I think that makes me a little different in a lot of ways, because obviously there wouldn't be that many signature things if they weren't selling.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are some of the other things? Like you mentioned the Iridium, just that fact of kind of being in the real amp mode for so long, and then you just kind of went still an amp, right? But you went kind of way left field with that. So what was that like pushing you over the edge? Obviously the NAMM show, and it was so loud and you could just put headphones on.
Yeah.
But that was kind of like, what made you like actually push buy now on that pedal?
Yeah, man, I don't know. I think it could have been the ear fatigue, and the second I put those isolated headphones on, and
everyone wants to like gouge their ears out at the NAMM show anyways, right?
Yeah, and I think just I isolated it. I plugged into, I think it was the Chime, which is like the Vox setting, and I'm not sure, but I think just because there was like a room, like it's got one knob that's like a room reverb algorithm, and I'm just so over like really dry sounding amps. Sometimes it's good to have a little bit of stuff filling in the cracks.
Yeah.
So that reverb and where it was set, it just like sounded like pure guitar, and I just was like so captivated by it, and that stuck. And I didn't end up getting one until probably like later in the year after, all the stuff of 2020 happened. And I actually was in Arizona. So while I was on reprieve from the shop for a little bit. And so I bought it, not kind of being in touch with you. And then, I came back and I had it. And I wasn't really like playing live in Tucson. I didn't really have any musicians to hang out with. So it was just like I would get off work and then I would just want to play guitar and plug into the Iridium and the headphones. And I think that's maybe like another reason is like when something just fits or is just like the right tool for the job, you're like, why are you going to use a tool that isn't suited for the job? And for the playing that I was doing at the time, it was like perfect. And that is a pedal that will grow with you. Like I'm saying is my first reason or whatever. So
yeah, that makes sense. And I'm curious to hear what your purchase decisions are influenced by. And this is like a soul searching kind of thing, right? Where you're like, oh, what really does make me buy this or this gear? And obviously, there's people that make decisions to buy our own products based on a number of factors. And, that's cool for us. And we're definitely not trying to like figure out psychologically what motivates people to buy Porters. But just as guitar players, we're looking at this industry that we're a part of. And yeah, everyone has different styles of purchasing and gear acquisition. Some people we know are insane and they just buy everything possible and flip it and kind of like it's a game in itself. Some people are like agonizing over, what cable should I connect these two pedals with, right? And they just like freak out because they can't figure that out. And sometimes I get into both of those worlds, or like, oh, I'll get this pedal. If I don't like it, I'll just sell it. But I'm also like, man, it's like your hard-earned money and you want to be able to like, I'm kind of like trending more practical and more like conservative with the spending, I think. And that's like good and bad, because sometimes then I have this decision fatigue. We're also talking about, as we close here, but talking about the amazing array of options. I think that's both good and bad. The amazing array of gear that if you want a delay pedal, you're like overwhelmed with how much it can be. And so, yeah, practicality, versatility is another thing where it's like, well, if I buy this one box, even if it's more than it does 7 things, maybe I should just do that instead, And so what influences your gear purchasing decisions? What are some gear that you bought more recently? Leave that in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do that as well. Thank you guys for watching.
Yeah, thank you guys.